Seen, you can come off a video.
So, welcome everybody to our Friday Night Live with John and my producer Patty.
Patty.
There's Jenna, just joined.
Hi.
Oh, Jenna's on. There's Jenna. Okay.
Jenna.
Jenna.
Hi, Jenna.
I don't think I've seen Jenna in 2 weeks. So tonight we're going to talk about food. Does that interest anybody?
No.
Okay. We're going to talk about eating this time of year. I know there's some people that don't celebrate the holidays, so it doesn't have to be about the holidays. It can be about family gatherings. It can be any number of things that we're going to talk about and how to do things. And at the end, we're going to share a bunch of recipes that Patty and Jenna and Deb have put together. Everybody will get an email with them. They kind of broke them down into categories. In fact, I'll let you, what?
I don't know who told you about the categories, but.
Well, desserts, we have some desserts.
There's desserts, there's some side dishes. A lot of them are with root vegetables, which are easy to find this time of year and that are just really great and healthy for you. Lots of vitamin C in your root vegetables like carrots and squashes, your winter squashes. So just a variety of things that just make your table healthier for you. And yeah, and a few.
And very good. Okay, the key is, a lot of times people say, well, I like to eat healthy, but I like the flavor. And so we know that we can eat healthy and have flavor. We can eat healthy and it tastes good, that type of thing. So it's not that bland, nuts, seeds and stuff like that, that's all you can have. Nobody's going to stay on that, okay? The holidays is a time when we really have to, or this time of year from now till New Year's, you realize that more people from Thanksgiving to New Year's, there are more deaths by heart attack, strokes, different things like that in that period of time than the rest of the year combined. Okay, why? Anybody want to take a guess?
Food.
The way we eat. That's right. Or the way we eat. Okay. First of all, most people, and a lot of this, I hope you share with people because it can save their lives, but literally save their lives. So what happens is people go into this time of year unhealthy, right? We've been in lockdown for what, 8 months, something like that. People have been eating bad, not taking care of themselves. Now we go into this time of year and we say, you know what? It's this time of year and we are going to celebrate, we're going to enjoy, etc. And then we overdo it. We just simply overdo it and it breaks down the immune system. All right. So what I want to talk about is let's eat, enjoy, but let's do it healthy. And let's take advantage of the information that we have and put it together, put it on your table, and so that we can help people stay healthy. So the first of the year, when you see all those commercials about, I need to lose weight, I need to do this, all of you that are looking at me right now can say, you know what? I've been doing that all along. I don't need to worry about that. All right. So as soon as Patty comes back, I'm going to have her do the slide screens here. So Patty, you gonna be along? Okay. Somebody just walked in, so we will. All right. So before I get started, while we're waiting for her to come back, who has any comments about food, things that you want to know about? So as we go through this, I make sure I touch on them. Anybody?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Me?
Whoever wants to ask.
Okay. I have a smoothie every day, and I know that at one point, one of my Zytos mentioned elderberry, which is pretty impossible to find around here. But I found an organic source of dried elderberry powder. And I know you're not a fan of that, but there's nothing else listed on the ingredients as far as like preservatives or anything. Is that?
That'd be
Okay.
fine. Okay.
Mhm.
A lot of times when people get things like protein drinks, they think they're good. And I think Jenna's been around a long time, but she'll agree that people say, oh, it's a good brand, it's this, and then we read the ingredients and it is just absolutely not healthy. Okay. And you have to understand the reason is marketing. Marketing plays a huge role. They're not going to put something out and say, you know, this is a product you can use, but it's not healthy. They're just not going to do it. All right. So they market it, etc. So just be aware of learning how to read ingredients. And I think everybody knows, if you're in doubt, let me know and I'll tell you what the ingredients are or mean. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So while she's doing that, anybody else had a question? Aloria, did you have a question?
Yeah, I was just asking, about as the time comes up, there's certain things that I have been eating that I thought were so healthy. And because of my upbringing, I thought I was eating so healthy. And now that I'm here at this crossroads, what should I leave out altogether that that I would normally put on my table? I do vegetables, and I do vegetables all the time, but how do I season? That's my thing.
Okay, that's a great question. We're going to get into that as we go, but to one word, let's see, Muriel, Maureen, unmute yourself and tell her the one thing that should not be on her table.
Sugar
Sugar. Okay, sugar.
and bread.
Well, okay, yep. Sugars and carbs. Okay, those are the things you need to stay away from. To the short answer, and we're going to get into that a little bit more. Okay, Gloria? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so if everybody wants to mute themselves so we don't hear background and people, but if you have a question, send a message, chat, I think it's called.
Chat, yes. Yep.
Chat. We'll answer the question anytime, or raise your hand, whatever, or unmute yourself and say, I have a question, because we like feedback, okay? Remember, we all have to eat. We have to eat, except when you're detoxing, but we have to eat. That is a fact of life, but we're supposed to eat to live, not live to eat. Most people live to eat. I know when I was unhealthy, I couldn't wait to eat. And I didn't care what I ate. It was just food was food, and I was going to eat food, and nobody was going to convince me otherwise. And that's what almost cost me my life, is because I was living to eat. Since then, I've learned to eat to live. Now, one thing I want to say is, unless you're on a structured Candida or wellness program, you do not have to be 100% all the time. That is a myth, that people get this idea that once you do a program, you have to be perfect forever. Nobody is perfect in any aspect of our life. So therefore, I want to get that clear. People always ask me, if I do a program, once I'm done and I get to my weight, where I get to the way I want to feel, you know, can I ever have a treat? And the absolute answer is yes. You can treat yourself, all right? But most of the time when we go bad, we are eating ice cream every day, you know, because it makes us feel good. We're having a glass of wine every day. And that's the kind of things we have to get away from. It should not be every day. It should be a treat. It should be a special occasion. So if you're looking at the picture and you see everybody holding orange juice, that is fresh squeezed orange juice. That is not store-bought orange juice. So when somebody said, you know, I think I buy food, I thought I was eating healthy. Well, orange juice that you buy in the store is not healthy. All right. It's got added sugar. It's got all kinds of stuff. So those are the minute things that you've got to be thinking about when we start thinking about health, something as simple as that.
I was thinking more it was the
Mimosa?
lemon juice maple syrup mixture with not a lot of maple syrup in it.
Okay. Okay, so the concept is really, really simple. All right. When I look at that picture, anybody can see something on that picture that might not look right if you were, for some of you veterans that have been with us for a long time, might pick that out. Anything?
I don't know.
Vegetables on the same plate.
No, vegetables are okay on the same plate. Okay.
Oh, I see a slice of bread.
Well, the bread, the carb, and a little bit of carb. But if you look to the
Looks-
lower left-hand side, you'll see the carrots. Okay. Those carrots are not real carrots. Those are called
Baby carrot.
baby carrots. How many of you buy baby carrots in the store? Anybody? Okay. If you do, you're not eating real carrots. Those carrots are actually loaded with chemicals. That is why they're all the same size. That's why if you leave them in the refrigerator in a bag or open, they'll get slimy because they're leftovers from the carrots. They're pulverized, made into a liquid. They're formulated with a chemical, chlorine, the same stuff you put in your pools, and then they're put into a dye and they're made virtually the same size as, and no carrot grows that way, okay? So even when we get into vegetables, there are things that we need to be cognizant of when we're eating to stay healthy. But really the concept is simple, even though it seems complicated because I just brought up a couple things, all right? All right, so let's move into our presentation. Eating healthy is not always easy, all right? Not necessarily because it's easier to prepare or anything, but because we are hooked on certain ideas. We were raised a certain way, that things are okay. We go on the go, we grab things, we eat on the run. So if you look at that picture, most of us at one time or another would have looked at that and there would be no decision which one we're going to do. All right. If you're anything like me and or Patty, in fact, Patty and I were talking just recently that how when we were unhealthy and overweight and this and that, and I said, you know, it's probably a good thing that we were never ever a couple because I used to love to eat, and she said so did she. We'd have been two big people trying to get through the door, okay? Because that's just the way I ate. Those donuts would have been gone, and I never would have given it a second thought. I wouldn't even considered it being a meal or really food. Later in the day, I wouldn't even thought about it, okay? So it's not always easy. We have to be disciplined. We have to be thinking about our body. So what I'm going to tell you is every time you eat and you go to put something in your mouth, it is either there to help you or it's going to hurt you. All right. There's no in between. So those donuts, even though they taste well, they're not going to benefit you. They're harmful. On the other side of the gentleman is the food, the veggies are nutrients and which heals and the cells in our body from the brain all the way through the body. So we have to be thinking about ourselves and we have to love ourselves enough to take care of ourselves. All right. And why do we eat? Okay, because it's essential. We have to eat. But when we eat for a reason. Eating is fuel. So we put gas in our car because we want the car to run. The better the gas, the better it's supposed to run. Same thing with food. The better we put the food we put in our body, which means the better nutrient wise it is, the healthier your body is. Now, most of you who went through our programs know that when you get off track, you feel it right away. And I'm gonna say, Maureen, who's there, her and I have had many talks. She knows immediately when she gets off track because she doesn't feel well. Okay. And I've had this discussion with Maureen, and those of you who've been around Maureen at all and know I've told her many times, every time you do something wrong, it bothers you, you feel sick, you feel sluggish, etc. And I call that learning. But how many times do you have to put your hand on the hot stove before you realize, you know what, that's not good for me? Because all those billions of cells in the body are being deprived of the fuel. And that's why eating is so important. It's not important to eat. It's important to get fuel, the proper fuel in your body. So what happens is everything we eat, like I said earlier, is good or bad. And when we eat bad, it threatens our health and well-being. Now, people will tell me oftentimes, well, I'm young, you know, I want to enjoy. I've had parents tell me, I'm not going to tell my kids to eat different because they're young. They need to enjoy life. The problem with that is this. Number one, studies have shown us that problems with ADD, ADHD, autism, oftentimes is coming from parents who are unhealthy that had children. Okay, so we as parents, if you're going to have children, you need to be healthy in order to have healthy children, because when a child is born, it's nothing more than the vessel of the parents they came from. So unhealthy creates unhealthy. Healthy creates healthy. So everything has to be thought that way, all the way back to the food chain. If you are a parent, you're setting the example for your children. If you're a grandparent, you're setting example for grandchildren. So just because we're a certain ages doesn't mean that okay, it's over, we don't need to worry about it. That is not the fact. The fact is we are all educators for somebody in our life. And we need to show them that being healthy and that we can be healthy, and it all comes from what we choose to put in our mouth. But you'll notice that when I go back earlier, I said it's not always easy because every commercial on TV, everything you hear is about food, okay? The pizzas and the drive-throughs and the quick stuff, all that stuff is box foods. You never see a commercial on TV. All this stuff you see there, you'll see commercials on Lay's potato chips and pizzas and McDonald's French fries and burgers. But when was the last time you saw a commercial on TV talking about a really good salad? Okay, boiled broccoli, not boiled, steamed broccoli. Okay, when was it? You don't see that. So our brain is trained to see that these foods are good, these foods taste well. And in all the commercials, you don't see people that are advertising those foods being overweight. You don't see them talking about they have diabetes. You don't see any of that stuff. They don't mention any of that stuff. They're all slim, trim, looking great, okay? Pulling into McDonald's and coming out with quarter pounder with cheese or whatever, whichever one is McDonald's, okay? But we have to understand there is a consequence for eating that way. There's also a consequence for eating healthy, and that is feeling good. And when I look at my testimonials and talk to people who've done programs, ladies in here with 1 week left to go on our Candida program telling me I have so much energy, I'm sleeping all night, etc. Why is that? Because she's giving the proper fuel to her body, eating right, and getting the right nutrition. So our choices either make good health or threaten to have bad health. So some of the ways that we can take care of eating and its habits. Everything in our life is a habit, okay? It's a habit. What time we we get ready for bed. It's a habit to brush our teeth. It's a habit to get up in the morning and for me shave and to take a shower. Everything is a habit. So my habit is I get to work. My habit is I get my job done. But eating has to be a habit as well. But unfortunately, what happens is we don't have healthy eating habits. We grab and go, okay? Grab it, run. I'm in a hurry, everything else. So we need to set a healthy eating pattern. So you should be eating your breakfast. You should be eating a lunch. You should not be going hungry long periods of time without eating. Sometimes people say, well, if I don't eat, I can't gain weight. That's not really right, all right? What happens is your body needs fuel. I am not a fan of going long periods of time without eating. Intermittent fasting. Thank you, Patty. Intermittent fasting, because what happens is people go long periods, 15, 16 hours of not eating, and then for 8 hours, you eat. The problem is when you're really hungry, guess what? You eat way too much, all right? It takes a very, very special type of individual to say, you know what? I haven't eaten for 15, 16 hours, but I'm only going to eat a small amount over that 8 hours. Most people gorge themselves. We have clients that do, I was talking to a gentleman, a Muslim faith, and they do Ramadan 1 month every year. And they were telling me how hard it is because they get up early in the morning because they can't eat from sunrise to sunset. And so what happens is in the morning, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning before the sun comes up, they get up and eat a bunch, go back to bed. Then they don't eat until sunset, and then they eat, gorge themselves after in the evening. And that is very, very unhealthy. Now, I never tell somebody not to do it. That's their belief, okay? Religious belief, but it's very hard on the body. So if I tell my clients that are Muslim faith that do that, do it for the month, but then get right back on a healthy eating pattern and don't try to stay with that, because after 30 days, sometimes that becomes almost a habit. They get hungry early in the morning and they're not hungry during the day. And then they're hungry again at night when you're ready for bed. So we need a healthy eating pattern. What is it? Breakfast in the morning, light lunch in the afternoon, and dinner. Now, the healthiest way to eat is you eat your breakfast like a king. You eat your lunch like a prince. You eat dinner like a pauper. Most of us do opposite. We eat breakfast like a pauper, virtually nothing. We eat lunch, okay, we're at work, we're in a hurry, lightly perhaps, but dinner becomes the feast. And that is the end of the day when your body is starting to slow down, your body is getting ready for rest, and then we put all that food in it, and then what happens? Your body has to process it. All right, it's hard on the pancreas, it's hard on the colon, it's hard on the liver, the gallbladder. All those organs really have to get to work and push themselves at a time when the body is supposed to be relaxing and slowing down. Your metabolism is slow. And all food and beverage choices matter, all food, all right? So no matter what you're eating, it makes a difference. The time you eat, where you eat. Most people, our society, when I was young, you ate dinner, you ate all your meals at the table, okay? There was, unless you were on a picnic, okay? But on your day in and day out is at the table. Now a lot of families, they never eat at the table. It's get a plate, go sit in front of the TV, we eat fast, we eat in a hurry, etc. And that can create poor health. So we need to understand you need to take time eating. You need to not force the eating. We need to chew. We need to break it down because that creates the digestive enzymes in our body so that we get the nutrients in the body where it's supposed to be, and we don't just eliminate it all through the movement of our stools. Okay, so we want to focus on variety. Now, I talked to a lady who's going to start a program here in a week in Texas, San Antonio, Texas, actually. And she said, I like a very few vegetables. I'll eat a little bit of
Corn.
corn. Oh yeah, that was our first one, corn. And we all know corn is not a vegetable. In fact, corn is not a food. All right, corn would be wonderful if they can make it into a fuel because it does nothing for the human body. If you don't believe me, eat corn. When you go to the bathroom, look at your stools. That comes out the same form it went in. Okay, now if you're eating corn in the cob, you threw that away. So, but the kernels are still fully impacted, not broke down. Your body gets no nutrients from corn. So whether it's corn, ground corn or anything. And why did corn become a food? Because it's inexpensive. All right. So it's inexpensive, it's easy to market, and they can put it in a lot of things to make higher profits. So that's my rant on corn. But this lady said, I'll eat a little bit of, I think Brussels sprouts or broccoli or something,
Maybe, yeah.
but only one or two vegetables. The problem is every food has different nutrients. So for those of you who've come in and we've done food scans, and anybody who's listening to this tonight is going to get a free food scan at your next visit. And it will tell you what every category of food and what foods are best for you and which ones aren't doing anything for you, because we're all different. So for me, perhaps broccoli is fabulous. For Patty, it might be a stressor or a neutral. And what happens is, if you eat the same food all the time, that food, even though it's very nutritious, can become a stressor for that person because they're overeating it. Give you an example. In fact, why don't you tell an example about Mark, your husband?
So my husband has a smoothie every day for breakfast. He uses the vanilla instant meal and puts strawberries, blueberries, banana in it. And he did a food scan, I think when we first got it a few years ago. And it said strawberries were a stressor for him, and he was not happy with that. And John explained to him it's because he eats them every day. So after a while, your body isn't using the nutrients from it because it's so used to it, becomes a neutral and then a negative food for you. Just like when you work out, your body needs different exercises to work different muscles. So same with your food, eating the same foods every day. After a while, your body's just going to say, it's not doing anything for me, and it's actually hurting you.
So the next time we tested him, what happened?
It came back up. It was like a month later.
About a month or so later, we tested him again, and strawberries were now a positive because he hadn't had them. So, and he was happy.
Yeah. I love the strawberries.
Okay, he was happy about that. Okay, but that's how food. So we need variety. Your plate should look with colors. Okay, so when you're having a good meal, you want colors on your plate. You want the colors of the rainbow, the colors of the forest. You want colors. If you have a plate of food that is a lot of white, light brown, that is not a healthy plate. Okay, so there's more nutrition in the colored food than it is white food. We have a saying, when it comes to food, white is not right. All right. So you want to get away from the white potatoes. You want to get away from the different foods and the breads, obviously, okay, because of that. If you're going to eat bread, you want the rye, you want the darker, that has more density, more fiber, and more nutrients than your white bread. I always talk about when I was growing up, like my mother didn't bake her own bread, she would go and buy Wonder Bread. And Wonder Bread was really good, okay? But you could also take it and make like a snowball out of every slice, okay? Because it was so soft and mushy. There's no nutrition in white bread, zero. It's been erased. That's why they call it enriched. And whenever you see enriched, It sounds like it should be good because it's enriched, but it's actually not. The story behind that is they realized that they took and bleached everything out of the grains, that they could spread it out a lot farther and make a lot more money. So what happened is the Food and Drug Administration, once they did that, said you can do it because there's actually 14 nutrients in grains. And if you strip it all out, it turns white. And they told them that you can do it, but you have to put 2 of them back in. And so when they strip it completely and then they add 2 back in, they could call it enriched. And again, that's a marketing term. So when you see enriched bread, you would think, hey, that's a good bread, but it's not a good bread. So though that's some of the stories behind food. So when somebody says, I thought I was eating healthy, but I find out I wasn't, that's some of the reasons you've been misled for a long, long time. All right. Vegetables and fruits obviously are very important, but I'm going to stress the most important thing is vegetables. So when you look at your food pyramid, it should not show X number of servings per day of fruit / vegetables. It should be, your vegetables should be on the bottom the most. And then fruit should be about halfway up the pyramid. Vegetables heal your body. Fruits will cleanse the body. So you need 80% vegetables and only 20% fruits, okay? And if you have 1 serving, no servings of fruit a day, you're okay as long as you get 6, 7 servings of vegetables a day, because the vegetables are actually what's going to heal. But understand that there is no one fruit, no one vegetable that provides all the nutrients you need. None, 0. You could eat asparagus, because I'm looking at that on the screen. You could eat broccoli, all the greens you want, but you are not going to get all the nutrition that you need. And that is why we have people on supplements, because you just can't get them all in food. 2 reasons. Number 1, you probably can't eat enough of it to get everything. And number 2, your body can't break everything down properly enough to get everything. And actually, there's a 3rd reason, the way everything's raised. All the sprays are on it, all the chemicals that are put on, whether it's the seeds, etc. When you're eating fruits, everybody likes to get seedless, okay? Seedless grapes, seedless watermelon, seedless this. That is not real, all right? It is genetically modified. Why? Because they're easier to grow. It's just like growing meat and putting steroids on it, in it, okay, to make it grow faster and better. There's a bigger profit on it, but you're not getting nutrition. You want the real stuff with the seeds. Okay, you got to spit the seeds out or pick them out, whatever, but that's how you stay healthy. You don't stay healthy on genetically modified food. So variety, fruits, variety and vegetables are primary, and then some fruits. And stay with color. Don't go bland.
This is how you ate last week, isn't it? Aren't these your meals?
No, those, yes, yeah, sure. Go ahead, Patty. Being you jumped in.
So, well, obviously, this is just a good variety of your meals and your essential fatty acids, like your salmon. Olives have good fat. Your salad is edamame on the right there. Your oats with berries up top. Your fruit, your berries, and your orange, and then a workout with some broccoli down the bottom.
And the best fruit?
And the best fruit is your berries.
Berries. Okay. So berries are because they're low carb, number 1. Okay. And I bet you if I could see everybody, I can't see anybody. So if I asked everybody to raise their hand, what fruit? A great percentage of people would say bananas. But bananas a high carb fruit. All right. And if you're trying to lose weight, maintain weight, etc., bananas is not it. All right. So you want berries as your number 1. and kiwi.
And berries are loaded with antioxidants.
Yes. So you see all the colors, okay? All those colors. So we're going to go through and we're going to talk about colors and what they do. So first of all, green. Patty, tell them what green does.
Green vegetables, green fruits. Can you grab me that little card there? So folate and lutein are the nutrients in your greens, and your benefits are reducing your risk of cancer, improving your vision, and strong teeth and bones. So your greens, your fruits, green apples, avocados, grapes, green olives, honeydew, kiwi. And kiwi is a top-rated fruit. Kiwi is actually a member of the berry family. So very, very good. What?
Power food.
Power food. Okay. Your limes, and then your veggies, artichokes, asparagus, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, celery, green beans, your leafy greens, fresh peas, your green peppers, romaine and spinach, zucchini, and can't forget kale. All right.
Now I know somebody, and I'll point out Jane is probably trying to write all this down. I know Jane well enough. You don't try to write it down. Just make sure there's greens on your plate. Okay, greens on your plate. The next one is yellow and orange. Okay, nutrients is vitamin A, vitamin C, and folate. So your benefits are your heart. Okay, think of all the heart problems we have in this country. It's actually the #2 cause of death in our country is heart health. Okay, it also helps to reduce cancer. Now, to be honest with you, good colored fruit food in any color is going to help a lot of the same things. Okay, because good food is going to help your heart. It's going to help reduce cancer risk. It's going to help to build the immune system. So when we talk about COVID and the viruses that Dr. Nelson talked about last week, that's all autoimmune. So eating healthy obviously helps the immune system. So when we talk about all these, and I come to the current day that we're in, COVID, most of the people that are dying of COVID have underlying issues. They say up to 94% of the people that died so far had underlying effects of heart problems, diabetes, very weak immune system, etc. So we have to understand that eating healthy obviously protects us. Some of the fruits that fall in this category are your yellow apples. Okay, so when it comes to the different colors of apples or peppers or anything, the different colors actually has different benefits, believe it or not. Apricots, cantaloupe, grapefruit, lemons, mangoes, nectarines, oranges, papaya, pineapple, tangerines. Vegetables, butternut squash. Okay, butternut squash is such a, and this time of year in the fall, very easy to get, very inexpensive from farm stands, etc. Carrots, yellow peppers, pumpkin, again, perfect time of year. Summer squash, a yellow summer squash, sweet potatoes. Now, sweet potatoes is a high carb, but if you're going to eat potatoes, do the sweet potatoes, the yams, all right? Much healthier than your white potatoes. And also, if you have issues with arthritis, and you want to eat potatoes, white potatoes is actually a stressor for arthritis and that type of thing, where your yams and sweet potatoes, not so much, all right? And then beans and peas is your yellow lentils and your yellow split pea. So split pea comes in green and yellow, all right? The next one is red.
So your red fruits and veggies, the nutrients are antioxidants and lycopenes. Benefits are memory function, helps your urinary tract stay healthy, again, reduced cancer risk, and your heart health. So your red apples, your blood red oranges, cherries, cranberries, your pink and red grapefruits, red grapes, red pears, pomegranates, raspberries, strawberries, and watermelon. Your vegetables are beets, and beets are great for your liver, really good for your liver. Red onions, red peppers, radicchio, radishes, rhubarb, and tomatoes. So all those, the tomatoes are great for your lycopenes, and then the antioxidants with your berries, and again, yeah, the beets, beet juice. Beets are hard. I'm not a big fan of eating beets, but I know how good they are for me. I think they're just hard to cook.
And if you eat beets and they're cooked right, not overcooked, a lot of times you will, when you eliminate, you will have an odor. And that odor can tell you that you have, your livers needs to be flushed out and stuff like that. So some of the times, same thing when you eat asparagus. Okay, asparagus is great for the urinary tract and the kidneys. So a lot of times you eat asparagus, your urine smells very strong, and that's why, because you're flushing a lot of toxic waste out. So foods can help you with that. Okay, the next one.
Patty,
Yes.
you have to look it up. I just saw a recipe for a beet salad that you make like coleslaw.
Oh,
And it's,
Okay.
you shred it like you would coleslaw, and you dress it with either lemon or cider vinegar and olive oil and some other stuff. And I can't remember what cooking show it was on, but it was definitely on PBS, and it was just recently, and it was an older gentleman. I'll try and find it for you.
all right,
But
great.
it sounded really, really good.
Yeah, that does sound good. Thanks, Kim.
Yep.
Okay, so white, brown, tan. So there is some nutrients in it, okay, but again, I just want you to be aware that you don't want all white, brown, or tan. The nutrients is potassium. So if I say potassium, what fruit would that be? No, everybody knows that. Okay, that's bananas. Okay, but again, we talked about, so there's two sides to this. So you say, well, you know what, I like bananas, but it's good for me. Well, it's not as good as the other stuff that we talked about. So don't get hung up on, again, you want variety. Is it okay once in a while to have a banana? It is. If you put it in a smoothie or something, and you're not on Candida, of course, but you can do it once in a while, but don't make a habit all the time. Benefits, cholesterol, reducing that, heart health. Obviously, if you reduce cholesterol, you're going to help your heart and reduce cancer risks. Some of the fruits, again, most of the fruits in this category are high carb, bananas and dates. Those are both 25% carbs. So we don't want anybody getting hung up on that. White nectarines, white peaches, and brown pears. The vegetables, cauliflower, garlic. And garlic is one of the best white foods that you can eat. Garlic is very, very healthy. If you eat a lot of it, you can actually smell people's pores from the pores, okay? You'll actually smell it because it's a cleanser. Ginger, Jerusalem artichokes, jicama, kohlrabi, onions, white onions, okay? And onions is considered a power food. Parsnips, shallots, turnips. The beans and legumes would be great northern beans, brown lentils, lima beans, navy beans, and soybeans. So those are your legumes. And we don't want to forget legumes because those have a lot of protein in them. So legumes can be very, very healthy.
Okay, your blue and purple foods. So antioxidants, like I said, your berries, your blueberries, high in antioxidants. Benefits, healthy aging. Again, your urinary tract health, and you're reducing risk of cancer. Also helps with memory function. So your fruits are blackberries, blueberries, black currants, plums, elderberries, figs, grapes, black olives, plums, I already said plums, and raisins. Your vegetables are purple asparagus, purple Belgian endive, purple cabbage, purple carrots, eggplant, peppers, purple fleshed potatoes, and your beans and peas, your black beans, your fava beans, and your soybeans, black soybeans. Didn't know they came in black. Into that. So pretty much, like John said, your benefits, just improving your health when you eat all the colorful fruits and veggies.
Now, you'll notice on the blue and purple and also on the red, improved memory function. So as we age, a lot of times, we talk about memory and we talk about our mind. So now if you're thinking about that and you're saying, I have trouble remembering, just think red, blue, purple. Okay, that will actually help your brain. So we can kind of look at different things and say, I have this problem. I should lean a little bit more to one thing, a direction perhaps. Make sure that I'm eating those colors. So if you go to fast foods, how much color do you have? Very little color. Okay, so I want you to just to be thinking about that. All right, so surviving the holidays. The holidays comes and we kind of get in this mindset that, it's the holidays. The year has been a horrific year. It's a time to be happy. It's a time to enjoy, to let your hair down and throw caution to the wind. And then I'll worry about it the beginning of the year. Well, there's a lot of companies that hope and pray that you do that because they make millions and millions of dollars. Who are they? Oh, they're the people that get on TV and they have athletes and they have actresses, et cetera, tell you can lose weight, just let us send you the food and et cetera. Those are the hospitals and the drug companies and the medical community, the pharmaceutical industries, because people need more chemicals, more drugs, and more medications. All right. We're just feeding those people over and over again. So we're going to go into holidays and nobody is going to go into this time of year and say, you know what, deprive yourself. Don't enjoy. That's not the point. First of all, you're happier when you're healthy. There's an old saying, health is wealth. Okay. And the meaning of that is you never felt so good when you feel good. That's what makes us live our life better because we feel good, we look good, etc. So health is wealth. But let's talk about what can we do and some of the things we can do to make the holidays fun and tasty. And even if you have people over, you can make things that they will like. I just got ahead of myself. Okay. So
we're going to talk about keeping to your routine during the holidays. Okay, just because it's Thanksgiving, it doesn't mean you skip your workout. Get active, get outside with the family, go for a walk before or after dinner, because after that big turkey dinner, what do we all want to do? Just lay on the couch and fall asleep with the football game on. Not the best thing to do. So being active, getting outside, getting some fresh air.
Mm-hmm.
Eating breakfast. Again, don't skip because you're going to have a big meal later in the day. Don't skip that, that nutritious meal that you should have in the morning. Okay. So have your eggs. That's a nice little poached eggs or fried eggs there inside the pepper rings. That looks good. Have your instant meal. Do what you normally do for breakfast.
So let's kind of talk a little bit about what people always ask, what can I have for breakfast? Because we get hung up on what? Bagels, toast, etc. All right. So what are some other choices? Now I'll just give you an idea. Myself this morning, wanted to be to work by 7:30. So I thought I'll put something together quick. I know today was going to be a busy day. I probably wouldn't have much time for lunch. So I made myself a pretty good breakfast. I took some ground turkey that I had thawed out, threw it in a pan, chopped up about a half an onion, browned the turkey and threw the onions in, let them cook with them. And then I pushed it to the side of one pan, pushed it aside, cracked a couple of farm fresh eggs, I like them over easy. Cook them real quick, put it all in a plate. Cut up the eggs so that they would get in with the meat because I like that kind of stuff. And that was my breakfast. People say, well, if I have eggs over easy, I have to have toast. That is a habit. Okay, we don't need. I used to think the same thing. I used to like to take my toast and soak up the egg, but because it's a carb, because you're getting too much of that, you can eliminate that and have a great breakfast. That's actually the only thing I've eaten today, except having an instant meal for lunch. And I'm sitting here now thinking I'm not really hungry. Okay, so it holds you for the day, and that's when your metabolism is highest. That's when you need the fuel. But there's many other things you can have, like Patty mentioned. What are some of the other things?
I like to start my day with the Melise instant meal.
Okay.
It's protein, it's easily digestible. I throw some spinach and avocado in mine, put it in the blender, and I use water. I don't use any type of nut milk. I just use water, and it sustains me till lunchtime.
And some people will take our essential greens because remember, greens are healthy for many things. Throw them in instant meal, blend them in with it, and drink it. Okay.
Right.
So if you have questions about what to have for breakfast, we've got many. The other thing I'm going to mention to you, sometimes people say, well, I can't eat, how can you eat certain meats or certain foods for breakfast or vegetables for breakfast? Okay. The bottom line is, why can't we eat anything we want to for breakfast? People eat ham for breakfast, but they'll say you can't have fish for breakfast. Well, that's just silly. All right. Eat the healthy foods. It doesn't matter if you can eat fish for breakfast, you can eat for lunch, you can eat for dinner. It doesn't matter.
Tim just suggested you can thin slice sweet potato and toast it. That does sound good.
Yeah, that does sound good.
It's a great
Okay.
nutritious breakfast. Anybody else have any comments about breakfast?
Okay.
All right, we're gonna
For
move on.
breakfast,
Go ahead.
for breakfast, you see the summer squash. I find that is wonderful. Just coat the sides with whatever you use for cooking. Put it in the oven, or if you have an air fryer, just slice it like you would slice potatoes to prepare, and just put it in the oven, bake it out. That I use that instead of thinking about bread. Most of the time when I want something solid
Great.
to go with my breakfast.
All right,
Excellent.
Nice, thank you.
And somebody might say squash for breakfast. Well, I mean, heck, that's a great breakfast. Okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
Drink your water, okay? Water is key. We need air to breathe. We need water to drink before we need food. So make sure that you stick to your drinking half your weight in ounces of water every day. And because if it's a holiday or a celebration with family, if you're going to drink something else, whether it be a cup of coffee or alcohol, beer, whatever it is you drink, you need to take how many ounces of that substance and double it in water on top of what you're already drinking for half your weight. Okay, water is key. Keeps all our organs functioning properly. It's great for your muscles, great for your digestion. So really important to keep the water going.
Another thing, if you're going to sit down and you're going to have a big meal, right before you sit down, drink a big glass of water. Actually, what it happens is it fills because a lot of times we sit down at a table and there's so much stuff on the table. We want to try everything. And if you're really hungry, your stomach is empty, you're going to eat way too much. If you fill it with water, you're not going to want to just keep on eating because you're going to be full. You're going to feel full, even though it's not a bad full.
Don't skip your supplements. Okay, again, we're sticking to routines here, even though it's a celebration. So take your herbs in the morning like you do. Take your Slenderatin enzyme before you eat. And then take your herbs again at dinner time. So it's still getting in your system and it's going to help to offset maybe some of the things that you're eating that aren't on the top of your healthy list. So the nutrients come from the supplements more than the foods at times, especially if the food's overcooked, even vegetables. If they're overcooked, you're not getting nutrients from them. So you've got to take your supplements.
Absolutely. And take your Slenderade before meal with that big glass of water. Okay? It'll help to balance your blood sugar so you're not craving.
Okay, keep an eye on your portions. When there's a lot of food around, some people may tend to just pile it up and feel like they have to eat everything. You don't have to, unless it's vegetables, then you can pile it up. So just keep an eye on how much you're eating and listen to your body. You know, when you start to feel full, you're already past full. So you have to pay attention to what you're eating and how much you're eating.
And like I said, drink your water before you eat, but when you sit down to eat, start with your vegetables. Eat your vegetables first. Again, it's another filler. It's healthy because remember, if you're going to overeat, what do you want to overeat on? That would be vegetables. All right. So you don't want to overeat on all the other stuff, the potatoes and the high carbs and all that stuff, the rolls that they have on the table and the gravy and all that. If you overeat on that, that's when the health starts to deteriorate. All right. So eat your vegetables first. That fills. So, you know, police your portions. Remember, only you can police your portions. You go to somebody's house, and you start taking small portions. Grandma's going to say, oh, I can't believe that's all you're going to eat. Don't start thinking, oh, you know what, I have to eat more because I don't want anybody to feel bad. Don't be afraid to tell people that you're taking care of yourself. All right? That's okay. We have to love ourselves enough. And the people that we're with, if they love us, they will understand. A lot of times we just don't get that. That we think because grandma or mom or somebody cooked it, that we have to eat more than we should to show them how good it is. That is not the way it's supposed to be. All right. The other thing is when you eat your food and you're at somebody's house or some of that, two things. Don't take the stuff home that they want to send home because normally it's the stuff that you shouldn't be eating all the time. It's not the one big meal that makes us unhealthy. It's the drawn out, all the leftovers forever. Okay. I was guilty of that for so many years where I would just, you know, the leftovers were the best part because they would last for a week because they cook so much. Policing your portions also, if you're cooking for the family, cook enough for that meal, unless it's the vegetables and stuff. Don't have enough of the desserts to last forever, okay? Because you know you're going to eat them. It might be small pieces. There's not a person listening that hasn't cut little pieces off of stuff thinking I'm not eating much. The next thing you know, the cake and the pie is gone. The ice cream that was in the freezer is gone. Where'd it go? You're carrying it, all right? Not just talking about weight, it's about health. So, you know, we don't talk about weight, we talk about health. Okay, so healthy alternatives, all right? So go ahead, Patty, let's talk about healthy alternatives.
All right, so I'm gonna
Now this part's all gonna be sent to them, right?
put everybody back on here. So
Okay.
we can, I'm just gonna stop the share because that's it. All right, everybody still awake? Nice. All right, so some healthy alternatives. Want to start with desserts? All right, so we've got a recipe for soft baked almond butter cookies. Sounds like it's decadent, right? It calls for chickpeas, your natural almond butter, an egg, maple syrup, the instant meal. You could do vanilla or chocolate, I would think. Baking soda, vanilla extract, and melted butter. Those are all great, healthy ingredients. To think that that's going to make you cookies sounds good to me.
I'm going to give you a hint here. Okay, if you're going to make this and you're going to have people, whether it's your family or any in the house or visitors, don't tell them oh, I made this healthy, I got this healthy recipe from Alternative Health, and because they're going to go, no, 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 it's going to be bad. I'm not eating that. Okay. What I find over the years, people will go to that are on programs. Some of you may be able to attest to this. If you do, speak up. They'll make food and take it to an outing, a picnic, some event, and they'll say people tried it and it went away. They got eaten before the other food got ate. My stuff that was healthy for me, people were just like, this is fabulous. They didn't know that it was quote unquote a healthy recipe. Okay. So don't tell people, let them eat it, let them enjoy it. And then when they start talking about it, then tell them. If you tell them in advance, it's not going to work. Okay. Because Patty has a story, and I'll just quickly share it. She said she would tell them that she made dessert and she would use our Simply Sweet, and her father and people, no, not eating it. I know, or the dessert you make has got that stuff in it. I'm not eating it because I want the real stuff. Okay. They wouldn't even try it because she had told them I made it through healthy stuff.
Yeah. Now they've come to enjoy. Things have changed and they've come to enjoy. Well, my father's not around anymore, but Maureen, you can attest to that, right? Bringing a healthy dish to a family function.
Yeah, I went to my son and daughter-in-law's, and I was going to bring that special thing for myself because he said, make sure you have your own stuff. And so I brought it, but not enough for everybody because I figured, well, they're not going to want it. And I'm definitely not telling them what's in it. And it was gone. My daughter said, you better get some of that, Mom, before it's all gone. And they all loved it. And then they asked me what was in it. When they told them, they were like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, that's what's in it. And they all ate it and they loved it.
Yeah,
So,
good.
Happens
Good.
all the time.
Yeah.
Okay.
So now we have these mini pumpkin cheesecakes. I told my daughter about this last night and she's like, oh, I'll make those, Mom, for Thanksgiving. So
ah,
it's a pecan crust with pecans, maple syrup, water, and butter. And then the cheesecake filling is cream cheese, which is legal, candida friendly, Greek yogurt, plain unsweetened yogurt, maple syrup, pumpkin puree from a can, or if you want to cook your own pumpkin, you can. Pumpkin spice seasoning, vanilla, and an egg. And you do it in the little in muffin tins. That's really good too. Pumpkin cake, which calls for chickpeas again. The first, nothing has flour in it. These don't have flours. Chickpeas are a great alternative for flour when you're baking things. All right, so this is another one with pumpkin puree, the chickpeas, your baking soda and baking powder, nutmeg, cinnamon, and allspice. Now, we really didn't talk about seasonings. I think Gloria asked a question in the beginning about seasonings, but seasonings are great for the body. Cinnamon and nutmeg, allspice, even good for the blood. Okay, non-dessert seasonings like garlic is great for your gut. And when John does the food scans, there's a whole section on seasons and spices and seasonings that some of them we've never even heard of. We have to Google it because we don't even know what they are. But the body needs so many of these seasonings to help keep it going.
You get a lot of nutrients from seasoning. Don't eat bland food. You don't have to eat bland
Yeah.
food.
So I've got a couple soup recipes. One is a roasted carrot apple soup. Again, all healthy ingredients, your olive or avocado oil, carrots, yellow onion, apples, celery, your chicken stock, thyme, sea salt, black pepper, and again, chopped pecans for garnish. We better go buy some pecans. There's a lot of that in these recipes. So that's, soups are great. Soups are filling. Soups can be low in calorie. So if you want to have something that's going to fill you up and not make you want to overeat the other foods, soup is really good to prepare.
And very warming, very warming.
And we have an almond butter pumpkin soup. It's got ginger and onion and garlics and canned pumpkin, coconut milk, chicken stock, almond butter. Again, cinnamon, nutmeg, and allspice.
And if it wasn't for COVID, I would have the staff make all this and have you all over and eat, okay? But, I can't do that, so, sorry.
He's not doing the cooking.
Oh, no, I'm an eater, I'm not a cooker.
This one sounds really good too. Sweet potato casserole with pecan oat crumble. Sweet potatoes, maple syrup, your coconut oil, a nut milk, vanilla, cinnamon. And then for the crumble, the pecan oat crumble, oats, a gluten-free flour, your chopped pecans, some maple syrup, some cinnamon, and nutmeg. And I don't think any of these are really difficult recipes if you're not one to cook. I think these are all pretty good. Sweet and spicy roasted squash made with acorn squash or carnival squash, which I don't know what that is. Maple syrup, cayenne pepper, another good seasoning for your blood. Ground cinnamon, allspice. This is one of my favorites. This is called butternut squash macaroni.
And I'm gonna tell you, it tastes just like macaroni and cheese.
Mac and cheese.
Tastes just like macaroni and cheese, I swear.
So it's brown rice noodles, butternut squash cooked, coconut milk, butter, sea salt, paprika, allspice, garlic. And you, besides from the noodles, you blend everything else in and it makes a creamy sauce. You parboil the noodles and then you bake it all together in the oven. And yeah, I love this one. That's so they do. It's kind of like a faux mac and cheese, if you will.
This is your bread.
So garlic and rosemary cauliflower bread. This is a keto recipe. So it's cauliflower, riced and steamed. It's 6 to 8 eggs, cream of tartar, coconut flour, baking powder, salt, butter, garlic, dried or fresh rosemary, and dried or fresh parsley. So you just blend it all together, throw it in the bread pan and bake it. And this is something that you can slice a little thicker and toast it, put a little butter on it.
Okay, so the sake of time, we've got some stuffing. We've got a sweet potato mash, green beans with shallots and almonds, pumpkin pie with nut crust. The pumpkin pie with nut crust. In fact, Deb has made this. I found this recipe from this doctor, and Deb made it, kind of substitutes a couple things to make it completely legal. But when she brought some in, it tastes just like pumpkin pie. I mean, exactly like pumpkin pie. She's promised to make some for me before Thanksgiving, so I'm going to hold her to that. And then I will tell you more about it. But it is so good. I ate it, and I still, sometimes I go, okay, you know what? It says this, but I thought it tasted better than pumpkin pie, okay? And I hadn't even put the ice cream or the whipped cream on it yet. Imagine that, okay?
And actually, we do have an ice cream recipe made with coconut milk.
That's right.
I'll tack that one on
Yeah, we'll
too.
tack that one on, okay?
Yeah.
And that is good, okay? So there's just but the thing you have to do is you have to step out of the box. You have to step out, okay? These recipes, your family, your children, your parents, whoever it might be, your guest will like them if you don't go into how it's a special, healthy, et cetera, especially people who aren't into health, okay? So you don't want to advertise it. Let them try it. Let them realize that there are ways to eat, enjoy, and savor good flavor, and yet not feel overly hungry. I just said, you know what? I wasn't hungry, but she's been talking to me, my stomach started growling, I swear. I'm sitting there going, what the heck? Anyways, you're going to enjoy it if you do it, and you're going to feel better at the end. That's the whole thing. Too many people eat, and by the end of the day, into the week, into whatever, they come in here and their numbers are off. They feel horrible. They're not sleeping. You can change that by eating right and still enjoying life. Okay, So I want to open up for questions, thoughts, comments, anything. Kim,